Welcome to the Heartwork Podcast, where we delve into stories, struggles, and triumphs of entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal growth. I'm Dr. Sarah.
And I'm Dr. Marisa. We're here to guide practitioners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and those just navigating the complexities of life on a journey of discovery that explores the dance between passion and strategy, heart and hustle.
With candid conversations, insightful interviews, and plenty of laughs, get ready to uncover how leading with heart can transform your business and life. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to another episode of the Heartwork Podcast. So very excited for today because we talk a lot about the universe and God moments, but you know those moments that just happen when the universe just knows. For example, let me take you back to a time where we were standing at a check-in desk at an event, waiting for mutual friends to introduce us both separately to others that we were supposed to meet, except somehow life works out where you're already standing right next to each other, not even knowing that you're about to become fast friends. And that is exactly how we met Sydney Kaye Hagel, who is joining us on the podcast today from Minnesota. She is the founder of Well Said Sid and the Wealthy Circle there. It is an incredible movement that really is built around intentional friendships, curated experiences, things that are actually meant to pour back into the soul and fill your cup up. She hosts the Well Said Sid podcast, where she digs into what it really takes to build brands and build community grassroots from the ground up. And most recently, amazingly, she has launched the Cozy Agency, which is her brand strategy and creation shop that helps entrepreneurs craft their image with a lot of presence and a lot of intention. But if we go back to those first times where we met Sydney and every conversation since, it really is more than just intentional connection. She fully embodies that with her essence, and her heart for what she does is so palpable. Her approach is refreshingly real, and her energy is absolutely magnetic. So today we get the honor of sitting down with the friend the universe made us wait for, and we are so glad that it did. Sydney, welcome to Heartwork.
Thank you for having me. Oh my God, what a wonderful, warm welcome. I feel like, I got just like a hug right there of like all the things. You don't get to normally hear all your like talking points at you. You know what I mean? When you're invited to something. So you're like, oh my gosh, wow, I've kind of been doing some stuff and it feels good to be recognized. So thank you guys for having me. And also just you guys were my fast friends when we met at, technically Steph was speaking there. So Dr. Steph was speaking. That's why we were there. And such a funny universe of like, this incredible woman getting on stage who like totally influences us and has helped us grow. And then we're alongside each other and then we meet each other and we're diving into like cards and, emotion and universe. And it was just like the fastest, deepest dive into friendship. And that's how friends should be. So I was very excited. And then when you asked me to come on here, I was very excited as well. Cause I'm like, oh my gosh, my girls. Yes, 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 yes. A million times.
I love that because it's so true. And it's also what this podcast is about to turn into because we are going to deep dive right on in. So, Sydney, take us to a moment because there's been so much change and evolution in your life over the last year. So was there a moment where you felt like, whew, okay, life, I am at a crossroads right now between something where I have been comfortable in, but somewhere else that is absolutely calling me? And tell us a little bit about that path and journey.
Oh my gosh, we've had a few, but the main one that pops out for me is I was working at a company for a while. And of course, it's job related because in my world, you really have to have like job love or you don't really like feel like you're living your purpose. So a job, although for some people can be very, like a bit mundane and they enjoy that, or it's like the side piece of their life. My job kind of has to be like really the central point of my life outside of family and friends, of course. But I'm at my job and I'm feeling very nervous system misalignment, irregulation. Like I feel anxious. I feel like my heart isn't there. And I feel like I'm moving through the motions of life. And I remember this innate knowing of like, I know I'm meant for more. I can't explain it. It's just like this innate knowing of I need to do more, whether it be help more people. And that's what I kept coming back to. helping more people. I don't know how, I don't know why. And I had felt this feeling for years working at this place. And it was just a realization of my circles were changing organically because I was aligning myself with people who are doing more and creating brands for themselves and like extending their soul into the world, like Callan. And then I meet Steph and all these incredible people that are in this circle, that of our incredible circle that we get to be a part of. And I'm sitting at my job in my cubicle, and I just it just felt like I'm so misaligned right now. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to do about it. I can't explain it. At one point, things can be aligned. That's the crazy part. You can feel so driven to be in wellness and care about it. And then at one point, it just shifts and you feel like, I can't go another day this way. I got this crazy opportunity to go out to California with Callan, my incredible friend who leads AI, and you guys now know she's awesome. And she was like, come up for my birthday. We're going to meet an incredible person and I want you to be there. And I'm telling you this because it circles back to like who you're around will help change your trajectory. I went out to LA. I met David Guillaume. It was incredible. Like personally met him at his home, helping him, and they're helping him with some things. And it as a dummy was like, I don't think I need to be here. You guys are talking about operations. I don't know a lot about operations. Maybe I'm going to go just get like a coffee or something. And Steph and Callan looked at me and they were like, you don't think you deserve to be in the room? And I was like, oh my God, is it me that's limiting me? And so I stayed. Happenstance, he needed help with ads. I created him like 30 ads on the spot. He ends up offering me a job to work with him, and I leave my full-time job because I innately know that it's not my place anymore, and other opportunities of more and helping more people and doing more that's in alignment with me and my nervous system are in front of me. And I have to add this part because it was just crazy. We were going back. I'm leaving LA. I still have my job, right? I'm still in corporate America. I'm flying back because I have to be back because honey's out of, days off. I don't have any more time off days. So gotta go home. And we pull over because they're like, okay, we're going the opposite way. We're going to drop you off. I get out of the Uber, their car, excuse me, to get in my Uber to go to the airport. And there are 777s quite literally in 100 different places. Like the building number 777, the street number, on the ground, on the car. I mean, I have never in my life been like, holy universe is trying to send me a message. Meanwhile, I had been trying to leave this job for a while and had no backup or reason to or push to do it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, if this isn't a call from the universe to do something that's in alignment, I don't know what is. I went home. I left my job that day. I started working there. I drummed up an agency name and I like catapulted myself into something that was terrifying. But like I said, you just know innately that you need more sometimes. And I knew that this was my next step. Like, do something scary, do something out there, go outside the box, like, and believe that you should be in the room and that you have something to offer. That's like the number one. So
Yeah,
one of
that's
many, but
it's incredible and it's true. And I feel like there are a lot of people that feel that they're on the precipice of something, but they're unsure what to do, where to jump, how to do it, or there is fear there of the unknown. Like for you, what did you feel that you were holding on to or clinging to that you really needed to release and launch away from? Like what parts of that prior embodiment of Sydney Kaye Hagel needed to be left so that you could walk into what was calling you next?
my identity was so ingrained in something. Like I identified with the person that worked at a corporate job because that's what I thought I wanted. I identified with the person that was a piece in the system, which is really great. Of course, like again, this is my personal journey, not for others. So this is the way that I perceive it and the way that my soul alignment happens. I just was like, I'm looking in the mirror at someone that I don't know anymore. And that's what happens when you grow is you can continue to grow and you look forward and you're like, I'm wishing for all these things. Oh, wait. And you look backwards and you're like, oh, that's right. I was an older version of me. And now I see a different version of me over here. And I'm like straddling two lines of who I am. And I need to pick one. Do I want to go back to the person that I already was? No, because I already know. I already know what that's like. So the scariest part was looking at your identity and being like, holy crap, I've changed. Meaning my job is going to change. The people around me are going to change. Um, I'm embodying, this person that was, hustling and doing things the right way, like in the rule book. And now I'm, at this point I was a fiance about to be a wife, and I'm going to embody this like incredible, like bigger, more spacious person. And that was uncomfortable. Like to take up more space, to go against the grain, to do something that like leaving a very stable job right before a wedding that you're paying for, like not necessarily the best financial decision. Okay. But do I have the guts? Do I believe in myself to do that? Past version of me would say, hell no. Hence why it took me as long as it did, 5 years to be here from my previous role. So, yeah, I honestly, every time I think about it, I'm like, wow, my identity has shifted. Like I can't even imagine being that person I was, but I'm glad I was her, because it got me on the journey. Everything's a journey. You learn one thing one day at a time, right? But I had to leave my old self behind, and that's also weird because you're like, wait, I identified with that company and that brand. I thought I wanted that job. I'm confused. Like I thought I liked my old routine. And all of those things can be true, but when you've outgrown something and it's time for the next chapter, change is the only way out, because that's what gives you the next step. You could stay the same, you could, but then you already know the outcome, don't you? So,
Oh, yeah. And it's hard too because sometimes that inner like knowing happens so fast, especially when it really is in alignment and it's been like brewing and like giving you signs for a period of time, like, hey,
oh
we're
yeah.
knocking on your door. And it can happen so quickly and so fast that it feels so in alignment with you, and you forge forward because you're just like chasing like what you know to be true for you now in this season. And yet everyone else around you is like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean?
Hmm.
How do you dance in that place of like, you know what is being called of you now in this new next season? And that may involve changing your circle, that may involve building different boundaries around people that have been around you, that may involve leaving a job that you were once really grateful to have, right? And had been such a huge part of who you were, your identity. How do you navigate like the guilt of knowing what you need and that you have to move on with still honoring like what was in the past, but knowing like the dance of, is it selfish for me to go? Like, I do have to do this for me, but the people pleasing or the desires of aspects of making sure everyone else is okay too. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's close confidants, sometimes it's coworkers. How did you dance in that? Did you have any experience of those emotions as you navigated, whoa, no, I am called and I am going, we're quitting, we're moving, we're on?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. The answer is yes, because you think about just how we're so inherently like really good people, right? Like we have emotions. Our EQ is high. We care about other people. But how many times did I put other people's needs in front of myself before I chose myself? Is really like the final straw of what I was like, okay, I'm worried about what they're gonna say when I leave. I'm worried if I'm gonna be air quotes allowed back. I'm worried about what they're going to think when I take a leap of faith on myself. Is that selfish? It's like I was worried about them. Meanwhile, I'm over here, like having no balance in my life, like knowing that I want to do more, knowing I want to invest in my brands. I want to invest in my brands. That's not selfish to create something for yourself. That is not selfish. That is admirable. But I had to learn that because I had been told, you're all in on the brand that you're working at, or else like you're not all in, and you don't believe in this, and you must like this less than us, and you must not be as dedicated. And it's like, no, I'm dedicated in many ways. And actually, once you start to like sit in that knowing of, wait a minute, I've been people pleasing a lot. I've been not choosing myself. Does my opinion matter? Oh, yeah, it does. So I think I know that I'm a good person, and the choices I'm about to make are with good intent. So you have to like lose the confusion of external opinion, internal opinion. External opinion, they're always going to be there, whether they're good or they're bad, because guess what? People have opinions and they always have been, always will be, right? Like that whole saying. But I just decided that maybe my voice was more important because I had never chosen it. So what would happen if I chose my voice? I remember Steph. I always talk about Steph because like I have to talk about Callan and Steph. They're like such big pillars in my life. Also how I met these guys. So Steph was like I remember she came over to record a podcast with me and she's like, "What? You're like brilliant. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, what? I'm just working. I'm just working. I'm grinding. I thought that's kind of what we do, right? You grind." She's like, "But you know what you want, and this is not gonna get you there." And you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I've never had anyone actually tell me that I could choose myself. I've always had people tell me like, you better be safe. Oh, I've left a company too early. I made that risk before. It was risky." It's all from the perception of people. So here's my last thing on this. Steph and Callan, two of the people that I look at who took a risk for themselves and created something incredible, magnificent, if you will. I was asking the opinion of people who I did not want advice from because I didn't want their life. I didn't want their trajectory. In fact, I didn't care about I care about their opinion. That's probably a little aggressive, but I cared, right? Because I care about people, but they weren't aligned with the way that I think, but I couldn't see that because I was too busy people pleasing. So that was the battle that you got to start to realize, okay, wait a minute. I think my voice matters more. And I love that you're offering me advice in this moment, but you haven't done it before. So I don't know that I can trust your opinion on this situation. I think I need to trust my own. And what's life without some risks? Like truly take the risk, put yourself out there. I mean, the only way to grow on social media is putting yourself out there, for example. So it's like, listen, that's got to be a theme.
Mhm.
I think that's the invitation, right? Of like, you are getting to know more of yourself, you're feeling that calling and you're moving. And I love what you say about it's not selfish, because the kind of theme around it's more selfish for you to dim your light. It's more selfish for you to soften your voice for someone else that is just waiting and wanting and needing to hear what you have to say and needing to experience what you have to offer, one. And two, it's why it's so important, as you talked about, to surround yourself with people that build you versus tear you down, and to also expand the room that you are around. It doesn't mean that you have to eliminate your current circle or like cut ties or burn bridges, but you can continue to put yourself into different experiences, different places, because regardless, at the end of the day, you're going to grow from it, whether it is in full alignment with you or not.
Right.
But you are the sum of the people you spend the most time around. And if you notice that you're feeling stuck and stagnant in life, sometimes it just requires a little bit of like a shock to the system. Like just go into a different and new place, be around other individuals, travel, do something different to enrich your life in that way. And it kind of feels like this is what you've also desired in creating with the wealthy circle, right? Putting yourself around other individual women that you may not have naturally come into contact with.
Exactly that. I mean, that's what the wealthy circle is for. And I even was going to bring them up. I kind of was realizing I missed a piece of, I'm telling these women, and the Well Said podcast is really like those are the same women, right? They're connected. There's the women that are listening are also the women that are inside of that circle, this community that I have. And I'm telling them like, stand up for yourself, have a voice, choose you. I'm telling them all of these things that I truly, genuinely believe, but in practice, it's much harder. And so I was faced with this opportunity to like actually live by the words that I'm saying. Like if you get an opportunity that seems, crazy, but like aligned, go for it. And I like was, oh my God, like dragging my toes for months. And I didn't take that leap. And I don't regret taking that time because it just showed me like you can scurry and in your mind and obsess over like something, but your gut always knows. And if you believe in all these things of like choose yourself, stand up for something that you believe in, like, all of those things. And transparently, I had a little bit of a situation at work where there was someone who was not very kind to me. And I don't allow unkind energy into my world. It's just not, I don't align with that. And I'm telling the wealthy circle, like, if you're ever around that, get out of the situation. It dims your light. It changes who you are. It changes your energetic field and ripple effect of who you're around. Like you come back home from a bad day of work. Now you're like, your shoulders are down and you go to try to see your friends and you're just in a bad mood. It changes you. So I'm telling them all these things and they're embodying in their own ways and attempting to, and I'm not. And I'm like, oh my God, this is bad. This is really bad. I have to practice something very scary right now, which is take my own advice and take a leap of faith. And I'm glad I did because even though that changed the wealthy circle too. Like the wealthy circle at one point was a paid space. And then I just realized in my heart and my soul, I don't want it to be paid. I just want women to be able to connect, and I'll make events. You have to make it profitable in some way, but I'm like, I'll create really fun events instead of saying you have to be in this paid container. No, I just wanted women to be able to be in a close proximity of other big thinkers. So during all this craziness and also my wedding, I just said, you know what? I have to take a step back. I'm making this free. I am not leaving it behind, but I'm going to be quiet for a minute because I have to realign my nervous system from this big leap that I took. And I don't regret it at all. And they saw me where I thought they'd be like, "Oh, what the heck? Where are these events? Like, why aren't we doing more?" They were like, "I'm proud of you for choosing you like you tell us to do." And so it was like in that moment, I'm like, I created this community to help other women. And in turn, they just helped me so much take that leap of faith and gave me the space to. So it's a whole circle of beautiful things. The women in there are incredible. Mostly Minnesota right now, of course, but my goal is to expand to as many states as possible because I think everybody needs that container. And it doesn't always have to be so heavy business and so heavy this other thing. Sometimes we get on a call and we talk about feelings, and that's what we needed. And that's maybe what I needed that day. So it's a really incredible space, but they gave me that space and that grace too.
Well, I think it's cool because you're saying that you, by leading by example too, you're giving them permission to do that in their life. And I think so many times people like skew this a little bit when it comes
Mhm.
to business and growing something. They don't give themselves permission to actually have rest or take what they actually need. And they just push past it. And then they
Yeah.
find themselves exhausted and resentful toward the thing that they're trying to create and build. And so I think just by obviously they gave you the permission, but you also gave
Yeah.
yourself and then them in return the continued permission to be able to do what you're doing and you're inviting them into, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a question because you obviously are in the world of brand and creativity. And a lot of our listeners, yes, they are in the heart work world. However, a lot of them are practitioners and chiropractors,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of when you build within the chiropractic world, you're building a brick and mortar. You're
Mhm.
typically building something that is very similar to what others have created and what they've done, based off of the presumption of this is what success may look like. And so I need to emulate these steps, which healthy things, right? You're not going to recreate the wheel on everything, right? So
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
there's healthy aspects to that because there are systems or foundations that are just going to help you lend yourself to being successful. I'm very curious, honestly, very personally, and also just I think it's going to be brilliant for everybody else to hear. On the creative side, how would you invite people to let their like freak flag fly a little
Mm.
bit that comes to their creativity and what is actually innately inside of them? Because you've talked a lot about your intuition, your gut, your innate, without it getting skewed with, well, this is the only way to do this. And these are
Mhm.
this is the trailblazing way to be successful.
I think, as you're building a brand, you have to understand where it came from and the why. And that's what you always have to go back to. So, although the trailblazers are going to give you a really, really good leeway example of the operational systems and maybe the layout, and all these, again, not a techie person, but the system to sign in and like how you get customers in the door and like your email and SMS systems, that take all of that, and uniquely to yourself and make it your own and learn from them. When you're building a brand though, you're building an identity that people want to be a part of. So if your innate identity is not, very clinical and like stiff and, neutral colors and not monotone, then but you want to attract people that are like you, of course, right? Because you're creating something that you wanted probably because of your story. So why would you show up as something different just because someone else is doing it that way? That's not the way to show up as a brand. If you want people that are, again, like I said, like-minded, and you're kind of like a cowgirl and you're like, that's my vibe, then why wouldn't you create that space? Because that's the space that you're inherently wanting. So you always reflect back on, what do I need? What kind of person am I looking to bring in the door? Probably someone similar to you, or a space that you once wanted, or, you have a why. So lean into that why. Not everybody wants to see, and I'm talking just anywhere, website, social media, newsletter, we crack backs. Well, that's assumed. It is pretty assumed. But what about I'm healing from an injury that I had like 15 years ago that I was told I was never going to walk again. And that's why I became a chiropractor. And that's why my space allows me to move other people's bodies who are told they're not going to have healing or they're not going to outlive their chronic pain. And it's why I ride horses. And this is my horse, Sally. And that's why we have horses everywhere in our office, because this reminds me of freedom. That's like a story, right? That's a brand that I'm like, okay, I can get behind that, versus a very clinical way to come forward or the way that someone else is doing it. So again, any business made by one person or two people, it doesn't matter if it's a partnership or not, group, doesn't matter. There's a story and there's a why everybody's doing what they're doing. And I think people are afraid to lean into their why because they don't want to be visible. So part of being wild and stepping into you is allowing yourself to be visible. And I think that's the hurdle that I see most with brands is people don't want to actually be visible. They want to get more eyes and not say more. So it's kind of like letting your guard down. I have to be visible. I have to share. And that's okay. It's not TMI. You can have boundaries on what you share, but people want to know you. And that's why they identify with a brand.
100%. I think that like we know this being in the field, but like the common typical person really doesn't always match the fact that most people make their decisions based on emotion and feeling
Yes.
over logic. And sometimes they'll make decisions, pay boku amounts of money to do something that is actually against logic. And we see examples of that in different brands, in different products where you may have a better product, but you want that one because of the story it tells you about yourself, the story it's told about others, the way that it makes you feel, how connected you are to that. And I think especially when it comes to a service-based business, people will typically pick something that they feel more in alignment with, just energetically or vibing, over the actual result of the service themselves. Like they'd be willing
Yes.
to go for a 75% as good service as down the street because this person just also gives them 100% feel good feelings.
Yep. It's all about feelings. It's brand is feelings and emotion. It's senses too. So I always tell people, think about the senses and think about yourself being, in this instance, a consumer or a customer. Like, is it clear when you walk in the door? Is it clear like what I'm supposed to be doing? If I'm a first person, like let's say I've never been here, first time user or repeated user, is the experience clear? Like, does it smell good? You don't want it to be clinical because you're not clinical, then does it smell like eucalyptus or because you want to give spa vibes, or is it healing, or is it stinky, like smelling like cleaning supplies? Like those types of experiences matter. And they're all that the senses all lead into an identity of a brand, because you really only have one opportunity to get it right. That's when you break trust. They don't trust you, or they trust you, excuse me, until they don't trust you. And it's something as simple as a smell, or a space that isn't as tidy as someone like ideally wanted it to be in their brain can turn them off. So be the consumer over and over again, years into your business, 1 week in, 1 month in, quarter in, a year in, like walk into the space as if you've never seen it before. What do you feel? What is the flow? It's just very interesting. I think people forget to spend time on the five senses, and they spend more time worrying about how am I going to do trends on social media. It's just something that I see a lot in brand. And what I'll tell people too, and this is kind of the random tangent, but I'll just leave this here. And I think I said this when I was speaking with you guys a while back in Florida or Arizona. We were in Arizona. When you want to be on social media, that's great. If you're a brick and mortar, are you wanting to reach people in your immediate area? Maybe the answer is yes, right? You want customers in that city. I'm in Minneapolis, right? I'm reaching people in Minneapolis. We're reaching for we're worried about trends. We're worried about getting on top of trends. But your audience is in Minneapolis. Trends are meant for global. They're meant for US. They're meant for everywhere, right? So why worry about trends when your audience is in your city? You don't need to be trending all the time. So it's just this an interesting flow of like what's important and what's not. And a brand Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to not forget to say that. I needed to leave that there because I'm like, leave the trends at the door if your customers are brick and mortar and in your city. You don't need to do that. What you need to do is go experience the brand and see if you like the identity of it through like five senses and what you're saying.
Well, I think that anchors back to the word you use there of trust,
Mhm.
right? Like, I loved that you used that word of trust, and it relates back to your story of like the way that you showed up for your audience.
Mhm.
They trusted you that when you took a moment and stepped back and did something different, they were like all there in support of you because of who you were and how you showed up. When we
Yeah.
have a brick and mortar business or when you have a service based business online as well, it's like, how are you establishing those little bits of micro trust along that individual's experience with you that then can build that confidence over time that then when it
Mhm.
actually comes for the sale or when it comes for the integration into the community and the continued evolution of them participating in your service or in your product, that trust is built and also maintained. And part of that is, yes, you showing up in your identity and actually being true to who you are, true to what the service says, but as you also brought up Arizona and talking about local versus global, one of the other things I really loved that you had shared with our community was about if someone truly does land on your page, land on your website, land on your socials, do they actually know what the fuck that you're doing?
Literally.
Or is it confusing and is it vague and is it not totally clear? Because one way that you can start to lose that trust is by not actually putting out there what it is that you're offering.
Yeah.
And if people see that clearly, then they're much more enabled to make a fast decision, which fast decisions are great decisions that can come from emotional understanding, awareness, and say, oh, yeah, I want that. Gotta have it right now. It builds urgency too, versus having people just sit back and like, well, not really sure about this. Let me wait. And then
Yep.
you potentially miss out on an opportunity to, especially if you are in service. Obviously, I would hope that we all like live in integrity, but we're there to like change people's lives and
Yeah.
help make improve the quality of it. So I love that, and I love the anchoring to that trust because I think that transcends so much with brands, with identity, with personal alignment, and with growth.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's about really looking inward and figuring out what your identity is. I'll say it over and over again and then knowing how you want to show up. And yeah, I love that you brought up that like if it's chaos, the point of entry for the consumer and they have no clue what you want them to do, they are piecing out. They don't care about the story. They don't care about the identity because they don't get it. So unless they get to your page, if it's your page or your email or your newsletter and they get a little piece of you and then you're clearly saying, "Come see me," because especially if you've got chronic pain, like I've been there, I get it, and I can help you. I know I can. Like, okay, I'm listening. I understand. You want me to come in, and your why is because you also had chronic pain. So it's just it is really mastering your story, not using jargon. You know, jargon is great. ChatGPT loves a little bit of jargon, but really sitting with words that you identify with that are clear. You know, clear messaging wins over any jargon or big words. So just get clear on your message, get clear on what you actually want people to do and what your story is. And if you've got those three in alignment, I mean, you're doing pretty well then.
We did a couple this is probably like 2 years ago. I took my team to our, like, mall, and I gave them, like, a couple prompts. I'm like, "I want you to go into a store, like, see how people interact with you. Like, what does it smell like? What is the customer service experience like? Did you feel welcome? Did you feel warm? Like, what was the experience?" I sent them into each of them had, like, 5 different stores they were going into,
Ooh,
and it was a really fun, like, just I mean, it was fun because you're just also I gave them also a little bit of money to go shopping, so it's like we made it like a fun experience, right? But it is kinda wild when you're talking about, like, what is the actual, like, from the senses, because
mhm.
it really does change something when like, if you walk into we have a Lululemon in our, mall. The Lululemon at the mall comparable to the Lululemon at the like, an actual, like we have an outlet here or, like, a separate store here, completely different experience. I would never go shop at the mall, I will go to the outlet because of the people at that store. It's crazy. It literally changes the whole game, and then if you go over to, like, a sister leisure store, like, right across the way, they are literally so warm, so welcoming, they tell you what's going on, they're helping you experience what's on sale or what their little promos are, all that type of stuff, and it completely changed the whole game. It's kinda wild.
Exactly.
I love when you, like, talk about senses. Would you have any other, like, practical invitations for people if they're thinking about
Mm,
sensitive, there's 5 of them,
I know.
like, when you actually think about how can you can actually engage yourself when thinking about that for your own brand, and I'm sure you've had to do this even for your own agency. It's like, what are you
yes.
wanting people to receive from you as you're creating?
I love that. Well, cozy is a word that I say way too often. So for my personal agency, and then I'll kind of branch to everybody else. I love being cozy. My husband now, which is crazy that he's my husband. It's been 3 months, so I'm like, whoa. I have to say husband, not fiance. He
Hard
is
habit.
always. I know. I'm like, whoa, whoa, okay. He's always like, you love being cozy, like, and a four-letter word, just brand and psychologically, like that is a really good brand. It's 4 letters. It's one, cozy. It can be 2 syllables or one. Anyway, that's just like a way behind the scenes in the nuance, but it is a part of it. And he was like, you say it. It is your favorite thing. It's this warmth. You love your cute coffees. Your brand is cozy. Like you get nuzzled in. And so in my mind, when I work with somebody, what I want them to know is that I'm going to get so nestled into their brand. I'm going to get so cozy in there. I'm going to know everything. And I'm going to ask you a bunch of tough questions, but with the knowing and the outcome that I'm just here to help you. I'm here to seek to understand, and I'm going to help you translate. So, how do I even do that? I get really, 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 really integrated in your brand. And that's what I want people to know right away, because I think with agencies right now, it's very, how can we do this fast and how can we do this, cost efficiently? But fast and cost efficient are not always the right play. And the faster, the less time you spend in a brand, the less I can help you or really get to know your why. So, all that being said, right away, I want people to know I'm going to get warm and cozy in your brand. And I like to think of it like a coffee shop. That's what I always saw, like this European coffee shop. And that's what my brand is really built around, is like that feeling, that smell of the leather, that feeling of like you're sitting next to a stranger, but it's really like comfortable.
Mhm.
The best latte you've ever freaking had in your whole entire life, because it's just like perfected, because it's like the European beans and it's just like, oh God, it's good. That's what cozy is. So that feeling is why my branding is like coffee shop, like sweets and European, because that's what I feel when I'm warm and cozy in a brand. So I thought of all that because it's an identity, and it's what I identify with and what people will say, "Oh, wow, that's different. Oh, I see. You're gonna get really nestled in. Oh, that's interesting the way you thought of branding. Maybe that you can do that for me." So I thought of all those things before. So inviting other people to look at their brand and remember that, of course, you are so unique as yourself, and it's so great to take inspo from other people, but you can learn from other people, but then make it your own. Like, make your social media your own. For example, when we're talking about the 5 senses, and let's say there's 2 chiropractor places practices, like, next door to each other. The one next door to you is gonna have different senses, and they might be pretty good. They might have it going on. But you have to think about, if you are the consumer, you as a person are unique. You're not the same. There's 7 billion of us on this planet. I guarantee your experience wants are different. So, what would you like to smell? Maybe when you walk into a Cairo, you want to make it really different and unique, and you want to offer lymphatic tea, and that's your taste, right? Like something that is like different, because warmth loosens the muscles and kind of relaxes you in so that you can be easier to work on. Like, what other ways can you think about this system, cuz it is a
Mhm.
system, it's a business, to kind of pull your guard down and be like, "Wait, as a human, that would be really special actually. And that wouldn't cost us very much. Okay, let's try it." Try. Don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to establish a business and then think of something new. I'm trying to think of another sense. Like, we talked about smell, we talked about taste. See, of course, if the color, I'm going to be very unkind here, but I'm going to say it. If the colors are ugly and there is cords everywhere and there's an ugly painting, I'm not having a good time. This is not modern, and you're trying to attract modern people. You're like, this is what's going on here? Whoa, there's a
Doesn't
lot of
fit.
weird stuff on the walls, and there's a like weird bin of kids' toys on the floor. And I'm like, okay, the carpet's like, it's a very dim lighting thing, and you're like, but the brand and the logo are really elevated. People are gonna see that, right? No, they're gonna see the experience.
Yeah.
So really think about that. Like, if you want to match to an identity and to a you, make sure that the 4 walls, what's inside of that, matter more than just the logo and the typography you once chose. Like, really think about it.
Mhm.
hopefully that's not too niche, but I was trying to be more specific to be like, how can I encourage people to think about senses in a different way?
No, I thought that was great. I think like I I also prior to me opening a business, I was a part of helping launch a church. And it was part of what we call the guest experience, basically. So basically, when people came in, we talk so much about this like senses. What are they smelling? What are they hearing? What are they seeing? What are they like touching? What are they literally like enveloping themselves around? And I hate literally one of my biggest pet peeves is when like our floor is dirty and there's like or even when you enter into the door prior to our business, like if there is any like just debris from like wind, I literally hate it so much. I have my team like sweep all the time out front. I'm like, I don't care. What if it
Get
distracts
it out
somebody?
here.
All they see is that there's leaves in front of them as they're walking in. And all they think about is dirty. Like,
Literally, no, that's fair.
distracting them from the potential experience that they're going to get, you know? And so I feel
Yes.
like I'm so anal, but my team doesn't also, I think this is also a thing I want to just invite to ask as well, because then it's like translating it from your brain,
Mhm.
from your experience to have your team catch it and your people catch it. How would you invite that aspect? Because obviously you also lead a team now too, you know, like
Yes.
created this business and you're helping your people experience your brand and be able to send it out into the universe and into the community at the same time. How would you invite people to get on that same page?
You know, it is hard because you are always gonna care about your vision most because you can see it in your head day in, day out when you're in the shower. I mean, I'm always envisioning things. I'm in the shower, I'm washing my hair. I'm like, "Oh my god, I thought of this thing. Wow, that's beautiful." It's my thinking time, you know?
Totally.
But it really what you have to do is find people that you like and you trust and that they can see the vision to at least about 80%. So that's what I usually look for is about what can I if I can find someone that cares enough, around 80% is good for me because then I say, you know, you show like this is what I really expect the full flow of the day to be. Like this is what I expect of you. What do you think of that? And you know, you give them that room to be like, yeah, I'm gonna actually like straighten up the desk and I'm gonna do these things. And I think everyone that goes in and out the door, I'll make sure that I say hello to and I'll greet them. And I say, that is awesome. But we are gonna greet them by first and last name when they're walking in and when they're walking out. And we're gonna also, when they're leaving, say the next time we're gonna see them because I want them to not only be seen, I want it to go further than that. And that's when you can teach the next level of it. And they may never get to 100%. It's just going to be reality. You're going to have to hold that standard and that bar. But to get them to 90 is a pretty dang good thing because
Hmm.
without them you'd be at probably like what 40. So I'm good with 90 as long as it's 90 and not 40. I'm good with people that care 90% because the more that you let them into your vision and you learn to communicate what you expect, the easier and quicker that you learn, "Oh, I could have communicated that better. I didn't really see the vision. I just expected to see it." And they can say, "Oh, wow, I understand what they're wanting and I can see my growth here." You also have to just weirdly, you have to kind of sell the vision that like this is bigger than these four walls and we're helping people and I hope that you get to stay here with us as long as possible. Like I want to develop you here. But like in order to do that, I really need you to see my vision and hold on to that vision too. Are you open to that? You know, like that encouragement and energy is going to be the energy that they need to be like, oh yeah, I'm on board. And I've done this wrong many times. In fact, in even the last 6 months, I've done it wrong like 4 times. So this is me like freshly learning how to share my vision and get people on board. But you got to find people that have grit and charisma because when I've hired just for skill, um, I haven't enjoyed it as much. I've needed that grit, that charisma, and that looking for one more. Right away in the interview process, last thing I'll say is if they don't go just a hair above and beyond, now I'm not talking about crazy, but do something that I didn't ask them to do. Like they showed up with, oh, by the way, I thought of this and I'm just gonna bring this to the interview because like I thought of your agency and I created this like one sheeter. That's somebody I'm hiring because they're thinking about what I'm thinking already. Those are the people that you want in your space, believing in your brand and selling the vision.
I love that.
Mhm.
For people that are hiring and thinking about adding on to team, that's a really good tip for the
Mhm.
side of like who is actually thinking through it. I have an ad out on Indeed right now, and I literally have asterisks on the top of my ad that says, "If you truly are interested in applying for this job, please read the whole thing." And I don't put anything else on, but I can't tell you how many people cannot even follow those directions,
Correct.
and then they do those things. It's crazy. It's like I would never hire somebody that can't read directions.
It's
Like
crazy.
it's crazy, absolutely crazy.
I recently hired an executive assistant who now is turning into like more of like operations in the business. And she found us on like social media and applied all the way through and then sent a follow-up email because she found my email and said, I really want to be considered for this. Got on a call immediately. After the call, she sent thank you. And then she sent like this one sheeter that she had been thinking about, these are some ideas I have. I'm like, you're hired.
Yeah.
You are hired. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, that is a diamond in the rough, and I'm hiring them. And even if maybe the skill is less than on like AI or, back behind the scenes, I'm willing to train you because your energy and your grit
Mhm.
is everything that I need.
Right.
I always say you can teach anyone a skill, right? It may take time, it may take longer time than you expect. It may take resources, but you can teach someone a skill, but you cannot teach them how to be a human being. Like you
No.
cannot teach them to have that innate sense of grit to go above and beyond. It truly is something that they just embody. And people can grow that, but when you
Mhm.
are hiring for a business, there is definitely also the difference between seeing someone's potential, but also recognizing that they already have it
Yes.
and can grow it versus just, well, they know this really well. Maybe they'll just, know how to look up from their tasks and say hello and goodbye through me continuing to tell them. But
Trust your
at
gut.
that point, yeah, 100%.
Trust your gut. Like, I've not trusted my gut a few times, and I've been like, oh, they could do it, maybe. They could do it. And then we get into it, and oh, brother, you silly goose. I did not trust my gut, and that's bit me in the butt a few times, and it's been a few wasted doll hairs. I call them doll hairs because I don't want to admit that it's a dollar that I lost. And it is what it is. But like, learn from those mistakes and like trust your gut on the forefront. Because my God, take it from me. I've made a few of them lately. Hey, it's honest. I'm like, hey, I'm willing to share my good and the bad and the ugly. Like, this is the truth behind the scenes over here, and that's why people
Perfect.
trust me because I'm willing to tell the truth.
Well, I think that's important, especially I mean, like you and I are gonna get on a phone call. It's like when you're
Yeah.
actually looking for brand and when you're looking at things for what you're creating in your community, you want people that can actually be honest with you at the
Hmm.
same time. And the same thing within your business. Maurice and I talk about this so much on this podcast is how much we can compromise ourselves for the sake of others
Yeah.
in your business as a leader, as a human being. You talked about this in the very beginning. It's like you were people pleasing and giving yourself away for other humans versus owning your own voice and owning your own truth. And so
Hmm.
that's an important thing. And like you don't necessarily always just learn that without living it at the same
Hmm.
time. You have to live and experience, but it is something when you are doing it, it can really sacrifice a lot of things and chunk certain pieces of yourself away. So
100%.
um, I'm really curious now that as you are, I mean, you literally own your own company, you have multiple things you're involved with, and
Hmm.
comparable to who you were last year and like really kind of the middle of the year, really, even when we
Yeah.
first met you, there was a lot of change really evolving at the same time. What type of leader do you believe that you are and the type of human that you are now comparable to where you were before?
Oh, brother. I am actually a leader that believes in myself now. So like that's the number one is I actually believe in what I'm doing is important and that I have the skill set to be taking up space and standing in front of a room or standing in front of a business because I've done, I've exercised the muscle a few times. I've done the audits, I've done the rebrands and I've done social media management and I've gotten the outcome that I'm looking for. And now I'm like, "Oh, I do kind of know what I'm talking about. This might be my niche. This might be my area of mastery, my zone of genius as I call it usually." So I really I trust that person now. So that part of that is that trust and then part of it is knowing that when you're being a leader and you're communicating feedback that's going to help the outcome of like what you're let's say I'm working on a creative project and someone didn't quite get it right inside my internal team and we have a handoff coming and I say instead of saying this is good, um I'll just make a few tweaks. I'll make a few tweaks. Thank you so much. No, now the feedback is we are almost there. You did a great job getting it there, but you didn't listen to this big point that I shared. And I really need you to show me that you can see and communicate what I'm saying. So I'm gonna give you like one more opportunity to dive back in. Let's get it ready for them tomorrow. And this is what I expect to see, this, and this. Okay. That message I could have never communicated 6 months ago. No. Because I would have rather, instead of having what I thought was an uncomfortable conversation, I would have just done it myself. So you have to step into that version of you knowing this uncomfortable, air quotes, conversation is actually just communicating feedback, and it's going to make them better, and it's going to make my agency better, and it's going to have a better outcome for my person that I'm working for, the business that I'm working on the project for. So part of that is communication. I don't even know the girl 6 months ago who couldn't communicate her needs and her wants. Was not able to stand up in front of a room and be like, I know my stuff. Like, it was almost like I had to encourage myself to be like, it's okay if you don't know everything, just get up there and it's a good opportunity. No, it's like now I'm like, no, I know what I'm talking about. I can handle this. But all of that happened through trial and error, lots of mistakes, that offered learning. I don't get angry when I make mistakes anymore. I learn from them. And that's also different for me. So they don't really know each other, the two different people. And I have never felt that before, this such large gap of a jump from who I was and who I am now. And I still love the girl I was. I was like, oh, she was cute. She was so worried about everyone's opinion though. Oh my God, poor girl. Please, she needs a cocktail or something. But I I respect myself now more than ever. And I know who I am. Like, I know when I'm being reasonable and someone else is not. Like, I know now. I don't have to feel guilt for putting my foot down and not allowing, for example, in the agency world, scope creeping, which means people ask for more than what they're paying you for. And
Mhm.
even though you're my friend or you say or use words like that, that's not appropriate. And no, we're not scope creeping. Like, it's just I have this innate knowing of who I am right now. I'm really proud of her. And I know that come at everything with really good intention, and I respect myself too much to allow anyone to walk over me or to allow anyone to think they know who I am or know my intentions. So I know my intentions, and my team is protected by me now. So it's an interesting embodiment, but it feels so damn good. So damn good.
Girl, it's that embodiment of that self-worth, like knowing
Hmm.
who you freaking are and how you command the room and command the space. And being able to teach someone about what it is that you want does help
Yep.
you in long term because you're not teaching people to run tasks, but you're teaching them how to think like you. That
Hmm.
also helps to create a business that's not dependent on you
Right.
still as a payroll employee, but actually as the leader, the visionary, the operator of your business that can call more forth other people. It is the capacity to say, no, I have boundary and value
Hmm.
within myself. What it actually does, sometimes people think it like makes you too cold or makes you too
Yeah.
unapproachable, but truly, actually, it elevates your presence. People are like, oh no, she means business. Like, if I get moments, these are valuable moments. This is
Right.
me having to also show up as my best self to match the energy that she is calling forth from me because of the way that she embodies that understanding and that power. I mean, it's incredible. And that's actually more attractive energetically to opportunity and things because it's like, oh shit, universe says, we ain't fucking around. Like, we're here,
Seriously.
we're ready. She's open and receiving, and she knows exactly what she needs, exactly what she wants, and exactly where she's going. And even if we don't, there is that level again of trust within yourself to say, if it ends up not being that way, I know that I can trust myself and pivot because of what I already come to the table with.
Amen to that. Holy crap, right? I just think
Mhm.
it's funny how much I thought I put into, like, don't say something that's gonna bother someone, like,
Mm,
don't say the true opinion, like, "Oh, j it's okay if you got burned again. It's okay, it's just, like, whatever." No, no. We're not establishing this ability to walk all over somebody or not say what we mean, because that hurts you, and it also hurts other people and their opportunity to grow. So,
Yeah.
and if you wanna take yourself seriously, you have to trust that the way that you're thinking, the way that you're feeling is accurate, and you've thought about the whole situation because 'cause you're very empathetic and you care, and that's when I say, "No, no, we're not doing this like this anymore." And you have to just choose that one day. And it is uncomfortable. Let me tell you, as a people pleaser fellow, hello, it is uncomfortable to go from people pleasing all your life, getting out of everybody's way, not being too loud, not being too straightforward, careful, you might offend somebody, to being your version of you that you like, that you're like, no, I kind of know what I'm talking about and I don't take shit. Thank you so much. That's not inappropriate and that's not mean. That is you knowing who you are. And that's something that is completely different in who I am right now.
For somebody that is in the midst of discovering who they are and they don't have it figured out. For one, do we all ever have it all figured out? I don't think so.
No, no.
Evolution, right? To give that permission. And to somebody that is maybe at that place where they still are people pleasing. They find themselves compromising themselves and they don't know how to get out of it. They don't know how to like quantum leap, that big word that is used all the time, right? Or they don't know how to shift through this space. What would you invite them in because you've experienced it to lean into and just to be settled in?
Few things is like, your nervous system is your health sensory system, right? So if your nervous system is feeling incredibly misaligned, like you are in misalignment and you are also like in risk of being sick, right? Like, that's how we manifest sickness inside of our bodies is holding on to things and feeling stress. I found that I was more stressed the more people pleasing I did. Okay. So take a little gander at your life and say, how much stress am I really invoking? If you can't look at it honestly, look at your aura ring. It'll tell you. Okay. So take a look at something and then take a look at maybe a situation that you had very recently that same day. Maybe you say, okay, I'm going to think about it tomorrow. And you have an encounter with someone and you could have said what you meant, but you just decided, I'm just going to retract. That's what I normally do. I'm just going to say, you know what? It's less chaos. I'm just going to say, no, that's all right. Whatever. I'll be quiet. Check your nervous system after that because I guarantee your nervous system is saying that feels very wrong and misaligned. Okay. You're in misalignment. That is okay. Now we know when we're in misalignment. You start to take tallies of all the situations that you really, really don't like and don't feel right in your system. I want to invite you to do one at a time. One singular change of a situation. Let's say somebody emails you and they're asking you to do something that you know that is too tight of a turnaround and you cannot work over the weekend. Let's just give that example. What would happen if you just said, "No, I will not be working over the weekend. This is a late ask. We have a deadline. I will have this by end of day Monday. Have a great weekend." What would happen if you just set a boundary? What would happen? Really? Are they going to swear at you? Well, that's a very terrible person. Are they going to think you're a bad person? Well, that's a misalignment of a person that's in your circle that doesn't know who you actually are. So I want you to reframe what the outcome will be because worst case scenario is likely not going to happen. And whether you're worried about the worst case scenario or not, it doesn't change the outcome. So test it. Test it for one, and I guarantee your stomach will churn and it'll be uncomfy, and then the outcome won't be bad. And you'll be like, oh, wow, okay, I can do this. So it's one little misalignment, realignment, call it, at a time to feel like, okay, I know myself and I know that I can stand up for myself. And you'll be surprised how good you feel on the other side of that. Last thing I'll say is nobody in your circle that respects you truly and is a good friend or coworker, family member, or whatever you want to insert person in your life is going to have a really big issue with you having boundaries for yourself. And if you need to explain yourself, that's okay. But if they have an issue with it and who you are and what you allow and you've been overdoing it for years, it's going to be a little bumpy. Just aware. Just be aware that that's a person that was taking advantage of you and your time for a long time and it will feel a little uncomfortable when they no longer can do that. But you got to trust that your why is cuz you need boundaries. Get them out of your life then. Trust me. Cut a few strings cuz dang nabbit, it is lighter over here when you're not dragging around a bunch of people that you're like, "Ooh, those people made me feel icky."
So true.
Right?
I feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it definitely feels more peaceful
Oh my
when it
gosh, yes.
settles.
You need that space for peace. Everybody should have that coming forth. And, I think about back to being a kid or, when you're growing up and things happen that cause you to be a people pleaser. It's not your fault. But you can't make excuses for being a people pleaser forever. So at some point you have to say, I think to be the boss, leader, boss, business owner, boss, whatever, Because that's what I want in my life. I want to run the company. I want to own the company. I want to change the world. You can't be someone who let other people walk all over or decide your outcome anymore. So that's bigger than you, and you need to. That's when I was like, "Uh-oh, it's time for change."
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when you realize it and then you're like, "Oh, but" and I'm such a how person. This is why this is like I ask these questions. I'm like, "Well, how the F do I do that?"
Mhm,
Like, how do I get out of it? Can you just shift? I don't know. Like, but it really is, it's like the first awareness is like the first invitation. So you have
mhm,
to be aware, you have to then ask like, "Okay, I don't wanna do that anymore." And I like you said, it's like you can take one little step. That's all you need. One little step, and then 6 months later, you probably won't even recognize the person that you were. Like, that's
seriously.
truly how fast stuff can shift and move. It's kinda crazy. So,
Do you wanna have friends that, like, you are anxious to text because you
no.
don't feel well and you don't wanna go hang out with them? Do you wanna have a leader that you can't be truthful with because they're just inappropriately speaking to you, like, angry?
Mhm.
No. I don't want any of that. That's causing just bad energy just boiling in your body. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, change needs to happen. That's just like be awareness, number 1. Where is it
Yeah.
coming from? So, yeah, 100%.
Sometimes it's hard because you get the awareness and that's like the first step, right? Like you gotta observe it first and see where it shows up to have like the conscious knowledge then to then be able to make the choices.
Mhm.
And I'm uh, tr- tough love, a little true talk here, but like if you are in that stage of now already observing and already having awareness and still choosing against it, you are betraying yourself at this point.
Yep,
Now this is on you. And it's not that it isn't easy and it's not that it isn't hard, but like you are now the creator of your reality.
yep. That was what flashed back to 6 months ago, what Callan and Steph were telling me. They're like, "Okay, well, you hate it. You are not being treated well. You're not doing anything about it." You're like, "Oh, so it's my I even though I'm the one getting the short end of the stick, I still have to be the one to leave? I have to do that and do all the uncomfortable things? God dang it." Hence why I dragged my feet for 6 months.
Yeah.
Whatever,
I think
took time.
the cool part in that though too is like it does like there can be so much grace in that. Like
Mhm.
because I think there's this reality too. It's like we can still be the creator of so much dysfunction in our life because we don't believe in ourselves yet and we don't
Right.
know that there's love and there's grace there. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Doesn't mean it's still not true that we are the creator of the dysfunction. And there can still be so much grace in the in between until we navigate the belief and the trust in ourselves, which
Exactly.
is it, why it took 6 months to do it. There's no shame in that it took 6 months to do it,
Yeah.
because you we see on the outside of it and the flip side of that too, so there can be truth in both,
Mhm.
And the pain
100%.
sometimes has to get that intense to actually tip you to choose a
Mhm.
different path when you are brushing up against the situation again.
Yeah, I didn't like how I was showing up anymore. I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't have energy. I don't have light. I'm, like, not even enjoying anything." And
Mhm.
that's an internal me problem, but
Right.
I'm choosing to stay in a situation that makes me feel icky. And I also just knew I was destined for more, so what am I gonna do, stay in my cube? When you know that? Like, it's just like, "What? No, you can't. You just can't."
Yeah.
And that's my experience, right? So, sometimes you can change the world from a cube, but my cube was not one of those, and it was time for
Mhm.
me to change.
Speaking of change,
Mm.
as we get ready to wrap up this incredible interview, even though I feel like we could talk for 3 more hours,
I know.
what is the next level of possibility for the life of Sydney K. Hagel that both excites you and terrifies you as you are walking now the path of all of this that you wanted and desired for your life? And it's evidently unfolding in front of you.
It's a little bizarre when you dream something up and it exists and you're like, "Oh, what the I thought it was gonna be harder than that." You're like it was hard, don't get me wrong, it was very hard, but you're like, "Oh god, I could go a little bigger than that, I suppose." Um, I think that what I see next is I've got a lot more balance coming my way. I think that'll be really beautiful, like, to have more people on my team that I trust so that I can not I'm not stepping away, it's just so I can have really potent energy time on creative and on strategy, and I can bop in and bop out, so that I'm a projector. I need to like sprint and then take a little nappy poo. So I just need that spaciousness that's coming. But really what I dream up of is like wealthy circle is going to grow. I had been leaning really heavily into, um, like make it accessible for everyone everywhere all the time, but I was forgetting and kind of neglecting my Minnesota audience. And it can be for everyone all the time, but I need to lean into the women here that need me right now. And as I grow that community, now I can step into Arizona and Texas and all these different states, slowly but surely. So I'm kind of taking a different approach to that large community. And what I'm going to lean into is very heavily in person. Every single one of them, it has an intention of like wealthy living, meaning like more than just money, more than just wellness. It's like the whole shebang. It's this full circle. Every event is going to be really intentional. And my goal is to have one a month and a big one by the end of this year, of course. So I'm going big for my ladies, and the agency is not stopping with where it is right now. I hope to have it be large enough, filled with women that work for me, that I can really change a lot of people's brands and get the right people in front of the right eyes. Like, that's really what I like to do with that. I don't know exactly how big that is, but I hope to be on stages more, and I get to do that in about 2 weeks, a little bit less. And I'm really excited about that. I think it's just the start of speaking up and helping people understand what this really big buzzword of branding is, and why it's so important. And random news here, but I'm about to leave to go to I started a sauna company too. This is like random and of course another thing, but we started with a few friends and we're creating this sauna experience in Minneapolis that's less about heavily Nordic, like you have to know what you're doing in the sauna, and it's really just about like come together and sit in a space that's really warm, and it's called thaw. And just like let life, that thaw, that exhale that you take is that A, like thaw, it's that long A. Just like relax, a space to just come and be. Um, I'm going to continue to build brands. I don't plan on stopping. And that's the cool part is if you put your mind to it, you can probably do it.
So obviously you just like spoke about some of them, but if
Mhm.
people are like literally dying and salivating as they're listening to this, 'cause I don't know how it's gonna be, how can people get in touch with you if they want brand work, if they want to be a part of your inner circle, if they want to come to your sauna? How are they going to
Yeah.
find?
The Cozy Agency is my social media for my agency. And in my link in bio, you can inquire and you can just let me know what services you need help with. And that's how you get set up. And I can take a look at your brand. And so just find me there. It's also on my website, getcozy.co. If you are wanting to get in my community, I post everything on my personal page too. I'm Well Said Sid is my handle. Um, that's where my podcast is the same name, Well Said Sid. But you can always find the Wealthy Circle there. There's a link in my bio. The Wealthy Circle is free to join. We have virtual gatherings. So if you're virtual and you want to just be around like minded women and have really deep, beautiful conversations like these ones at Heartwork, we do that too. But we will hopefully eventually be reaching your city at some point with events. That's the goal. So I'm all over social media. Well Said Sid, the Wealthy Circle, the Cozy Agency. Find me on any of those and I'll be there. I promise.
Amazing. Well, we will put all that in all our notes and everything as well. And we adored this conversation with you. Like
Yay.
I think we could keep talking forever. So, and I cannot wait to see you literally in like a week and a half, which would be
I
so
know.
fun.
I can't wait.
So fun. Can't wait to see you and can't wait to see all that this year has to unfold for you.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful to have this conversation with you both. I'm like, you probably just need to come on my podcast now too. It might just have to be that way, but you guys are lovely and you just are so good with your words and you're so good at interflection, and people in your community are blessed to have that. So I'm grateful that you tapped my shoulder to come on here because I loved this. I know. And also we could talk for 5 more hours. That's just so classic. I'm like, yep, could keep going.
Totally.
Thank you, Sydney.
I appreciate you both. Thanks for having me. And hopefully I connect with you all soon.
For sure.
Yay. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
guys. So thank you for joining us on another episode of the Heartwork Podcast. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to lead with heart in your business and life.
If you enjoyed this, subscribe so you never miss a release, rate our show, leave us a review, get on our VIP email list, and join our exclusive Facebook group, The Heartwork Life, to plug into our community and learn from us and other heart-led entrepreneurs on a weekly basis.
We look forward to chatting with you next time.
Bye!